We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Good evening. Welcome to WDC Radio. I'm your host. I am WDC. See the shirt. I want to thank you for tuning and listening in. This is the sickle cell trait platform. We talk about sickle cell trait, sickle cell disease, all the different aspects of it, from the trait fighting malaria all the way up to the impact and results of it, as far as we know, as creating babies born with sickle cell disease. So thank you for tuning in today. I got a very always a special show for you. I got Tamica calling in from Florida, Flo Rider, sharing her story living with sickle cell. You definitely want to catch this story. It's very unique. When you find out what this woman is living with as far as the genes that she inherited from her parents, you're going to be shocked. So this is going to be a very informative but a very special show, because I haven't had a guest like this in I think the entire time I've been advocating for sickle cell trait interview in our community. Since 2010, and so I want to thank her for being bold and stepping up to share her story living with sickle cell. So that'll be coming up next. Her story. We've got the full hour with her. We're going to go from A to Z, her growing up with sickle cell, and then what she's living with today, and the things that she's doing in our community to bring awareness to sickle cell disease. So this is my theme song in the background. It's Curtis Blow, Young Ice, my man IG the Great. It's on iTunes, 99 cents. Rap version and instrumental version. Support the cause. We'll appreciate it. And this is brought to you by Mass Therapeutics. So I got a commercial for them. That's my sponsor, my title sponsor for this segment here. So we'll be right back. WDC Radio. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, it's at IMWDC. If you want more information about sickle cell trait awareness, you can go to WDCONSCT.org. That's WDCONSCT.org. If you want to share your story with me, you can always send me an Instagram or a text message. My phone number is 323-215-5384. Send me a message. We'll set up a phone conversation and then schedule you in the future for your own personal interview, sharing your story. Living with sickle cell trait, sickle cell disease, sickle cell thalassemia, doesn't matter. If you're a part of our community living with sickle cell, then you are welcome here to share your information. All right, so also my platform is open. I'm an advocate for humanity, so if there's a chronic illness that you want to share, if it's lupus, bullying, mental health, arthritis, cancer, if there's any chronic illnesses or any cause that you care about, you're more than welcome to come in and share your story. Also on my platform, I'll make a special show just for you to share your information. So I'm just blessed to be here. I got my man Van in the back over here doing my engineering for me for today. If you just catching the show, I was just on the Sports Lounge Live, so make sure you tune into the sports show that I'm a part of, the Sports Lounge Live, every Saturday, 2 p.m. And also my man Van, he hosts the Veterans Day Talk Live, so make sure you check out for my veterans community. I'm a veteran, so we support our veterans, so make sure you check out Veterans Day Live here on Sundays at 2 p.m. Right here on LA Talk Live. Let's see, you can catch me right now streaming live on Atlanta Talk Live, DC Talk Live, New York Talk Live, Chicago Talk Live. Also on iTunes under R&B, LA Talk Live, Live 365 also. You can catch me there right now streaming live. So let me see, my caller's there. Let's see. Yeah. You're live at, what's the count?
Hi, Farron. How are you?
Hey, is this Tamica?
Yes, this is Tamica.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right. Well, I want to thank you again for accepting the invitation to come on the show and to be open and sharing your story living with sickle cell.
No problem.
So let's introduce yourself to the listeners first, and then we'll get into your conversation.
Well, I'm Tamica McCullough from South Florida, and I have sickle cell SS and delta beta thalassemia major and A hereditary persistence of fetal hemoglobin.
So
yeah, it's a mouthful.
We're gonna break this down. I want you to say it slowly. So the first part of this living with sickle cell is you have SS.
Full SS, yes.
Okay.
And the most severe form of sickle cell.
Okay, so you have SS, and you have the other gene is, give me the other one.
Delta, beta, 0, thalassemia major.
Okay, so delta, beta, 0, thalassemia major.
Yes.
Okay, and then what was the other one that you also producing? That actually is a good thing.
Hereditary persistence of fetal hemoglobin. And I make about 45% fetal hemoglobin naturally.
So you still making fetal hemoglobin as an adult, a large percentage. Yes. Which is, it happens, but not normally. I don't know if it's that normal.
It usually happens, but it never increases. Mine has steadily increased since I was 15.
Right, because usually it goes away as you start to become an adult. But for you, interesting.
No.
And so let's go back in time. If you had this conversation with your parents, did they know that they carried these genes?
They knew that they had the sickle cell trait gene. Both of my parents are ex-military.
Okay.
So they knew it from family history. Each of them have a first cousin that has sickle cell SS, but they didn't have any clue about thalassemia.
Okay.
When I was diagnosed when I was 5, they had to retest me multiple times because it never quite showed up correctly.
Right. And
they couldn't figure out why. And they actually didn't diagnose the thalassemia until 2011.
Okay, we're gonna get to all that. So I want to keep it in a kind of chronological order. So growing up, your parents, they knew about the S gene, but not the other inherited genes of the thalassemia. Okay.
Right.
So what do you remember sharing your parents sharing with you as a young child when you first was aware that you were going to be living with sickle cell? Like what did they share with you?
Basically, my mom just described one of my cousins for me. She was like, my cousin Gleneva, who's, God bless her soul, she's passed away since, but she was like, do you know Gleneva? And I'm like, of course, that's one of my favorite cousins. And she was like, do you know how she gets sick? And I'm like, okay, yeah. And she was like, well, that may happen to you.
Wow.
And, I'm 5.5. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, okay, she goes to the hospital a lot. But I didn't understand at that time because, to my recollection, I hadn't had a crisis yet.
Right.
So, in my mind, okay, I'm going to have to go to the hospital a lot, but I'll get better and I'll come home. So, I was like, okay, fine, I can deal with this.
So 5.5 years old, you've just been introduced that you're going to be living with sickle cell. What did your parents share with you about, or that first crisis, or what about, what did they?
Pretty much when you wake up screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night, there's no more explanation needed.
Yeah.
At all. Like when you have your first crisis as a child, there's no worse feeling in the world that you can describe to even compare that.
So
even if they had sat and said, hey, look, you're going to be in pain, this is what's going to happen, it still wouldn't have prepared me for the amount of pain that I had and how sudden it came on.
So tell me what you remember about that first crisis.
Oh, I remember it vividly. In bed, normal night, about 2 in the morning, it's just like, it feels like if you ever stubbed your toe, banged your knee, and hit your elbow, imagine doing all those things at one time, and then multiply that by 10, and then condense it down to the size of a pea.
Wow.
That's what it felt like in my thigh.
Wow.
That's the only way I could imagine describing it where an average person would be able to somewhat glimpse just a tiny bit of what it's like.
And so what?
My parents took.
Go ahead.
My mom took me to the hospital. Yes.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. My mom took me to the hospital, and they're like, yes, she's having a sickle cell crisis. They do the standard. They give you fluids, pain meds, try to get you under control, and that's it. At the time, I didn't need blood transfusions because my blood levels were normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your normal count? Like, what's the count? Your normal?
Well, it has changed over the years. When I was younger,
Okay.
it was always anywhere between 9 and 11.
Okay.
But for the past, I would say about 8 years, it's anywhere between 12 and 14.
12 and 14. Okay, that's actually pretty good.
Exactly. But I wish it would go back down to 9 and 11, because the lower my hemoglobin was, the less pain I had.
So you have more pain with the higher count?
For me, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that part. So
no problem.
So growing up now, you had your first crisis that you remember. What was your level of sharing? Now that you're this young child, this young woman, in your elementary school
I told everybody.
days.
Everybody, like, I'm from a very small town. Everybody knows that I have sickle cell, and even then, I didn't quite understand it. Still, because all you're told is eat right, stay hydrated,
Right.
don't overexert yourself. But nobody says anything about the fact that even if you do all those things, you still are going to have crisis no matter what. The weather can trigger your crisis. The fact that you have to keep your emotions in check.
Right.
People don't tell you that part when you're a child and when you're going through the trials of sickle cell. They don't tell you, hey, look, if you get too happy and excited, you still can have a crisis. If you get too upset, that can still trigger a crisis. You get too stressed out, you can have a crisis. No one says that.
Hey, because there is a reality of having sickle cell. I mean, there is a reality part of that, and that is the pain and crisis, because that's what it's created.
Right.
It's happened. So you were open. You shared sickle cell with your friends. You wasn't
Everybody.
afraid. You wasn't afraid. Nobody was gonna talk
there was
to you?
no. My thing was this: I am sickle cell. Point blank. Period. There's no getting around it. I'm not going to switch my fingers, and I'm going to be sickle cell free tomorrow. So this is who I am. So I have to let people know who I am. To say that I don't to not share that I have sickle cell, it would be like saying my name's not Tamica.
Okay.
That's not true. That's who I am.
Well, Tamica, I think you triggered a phone call. Let me see who's on the line here. Hey, caller, turn your phone down, caller. Hello, caller? Nah, take him off. All right, Tamica. We thought that was somebody wanted to speak to you right there, but not. So let's talk about when. Oh, was that her? Oh, Tamica, you still there? All right, let's take a quick break then. We're going to take a quick break. Again, this segment is brought to you by Mast Therapeutics, so we're going to take a quick break. Don't go nowhere. We're going to get Tamica back on the line. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamWDC. We'll be right back.
So how we got this? Hello?
Hey, Tamica, just hold on 1 second for me, please.
Okay.
Yeah, play that mask. That mask.
Hi, this is Araceli inviting you to join us every Sunday at 2 p.m. for Veterans Day Live. Join us as we provide info that will help all military personnel. So don't forget to tune in to Veterans Day Live every Sunday at 2 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, Table Radio, and Apple TV Radio, or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Yeah, that one. Oh, I think I can hear us.
This program is provided with funding from Mast Therapeutics, sponsors of the EPIC study, a clinical trial for sickle cell disease. For more information, please visit www.theepicstudy.com.
All right, welcome back to WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. All right, so we got Tamica on the line sharing her story living with sickle cell, 5.5 years old. She's telling everybody she is sickle cell. And so, Tamica, how did your friends, I mean, you're at such a young age. So let's go to elementary school. What was that experience like for you, sharing with your friends living with sickle cell, and because there's so many different conversations kids have. For the
most part, everybody was pretty understanding of it. Like myself, no one knew what the world it really was or how deep it would go. But for the most part, as a child, it didn't stop me from being a kid. I had an absolutely normal life. I took ballet, I danced hip hop, I would have my periodic crisis, but for the most part, I was healthy.
Yeah. And so
no sickness at all, no colds, no flus, none of that.
And do you accredit that to the other gene, the fetal hemoglobin?
To the fetal hemoglobin mainly.
Okay. So let's, because
all the research I've done, it points towards fetal.
Okay. So that's what I was going to go to. So let's talk about the fetal hemoglobin. How does that improve your health? Can you share what you know about that?
Well, from what I understand about it, my blood, it's almost as if somebody had extra stem cells. So instead of them getting sick normally, they have something to fight it. Right. So I can be around somebody with a cold, a flu, stomach virus, and I won't catch nothing at all. And doctors still can't figure out why or how, but the fetal hemoglobin protects me from getting any other outside issues. It doesn't prevent the pain, but it prevents other sicknesses.
Yeah, we actually did a show with Dr. Bailey about a month and a half or so ago with about a topic about fetal hemoglobin and how it helps. So you got the fetal hemoglobin going on. You got the thalassemia going on. So let's go back to your childhood. What was your hospital experience like back then?
For the most part, I thought I was crazy. I literally thought I was crazy because my mom would take me to the hospital and they'll be like, she's not in crisis. Right. Even though I'm showing all the physical signs of being in a full-blown pain crisis, they're like, her blood work shows she's not in crisis.
Right.
Or she doesn't have sickle cell at all. So I was like, Mom, do I need a CAT scan, an MRI, because I must be losing my darn mind, because you're not going to tell me that all these time I've had this random pain out of nowhere kick my butt, that I don't have something, or that I'm wrong. That was the worst part of going to the hospital, is being told that I didn't have sickle cell or I wasn't in crisis.
And I think that happens a lot for our community. I've heard people talk about that plenty of times before, that because the blood work doesn't show that they should be in a crisis, then they kind of get discounted as far as the level of pain that you have.
Right. So usually what I do, since I've become an adult, anytime I go to the hospital, I take my pain meds with me, because that's the main thing, that they think that you're seeking pain medicine. So if they refuse to treat me, or they accuse me of something that is just, in my opinion, degrading, to say that I'm seeking drugs, I pull out my meds. I'm like, okay, either you're going to treat me or I'm going to have to take way more than what I need to. So rather than run the risk of having an overdose, I did what I needed to do for myself and came to the hospital.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people with sickle cell do. They manage it at home the best they can. When they go to the hospital, it's because they're at their wits' end, and they know that the amount of medicine they're taking at home is just starting to be dangerous amounts. Nobody wants to go to the hospital to be told, oh, you're faking it, or you're a drug addict, or your pain can't possibly be that bad.
So how do we help? I mean, I have my answers, but give me your point of view. Is how do we help?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, how do we help shift that conversation? As far as the being accused of being a drug seeker and you having to take your medication to prove your point. What do you see? that can shift this conversation so these doctors and nurses are aware that, hey, treat my pain because I'm telling you I'm in pain and I'm not seeking drugs? Like, how do you have to, what do you see that we can?
Generally, the first thing I do is find out their grievance procedures before I even attend a certain hospital. I need to know going in, what can I do if I do encounter this, because so many people do. Unfortunately, you can't get mad at the doctors because it's their coworkers that are technically overwriting scripts and have caused this pill epidemic. So for me, I always make sure I take my script, whatever I have with me, to the doctor, and I make sure that before they even treat me, I tell them, look, get all your blood work out the way, get all your testing done, don't give me a single medication, just give me my IV until after you get the lab results back, because there's been many times where they get the lab work back and they're like, well, you don't have sickle cell, or you're not crisis once again.
Right. And so you literally had to learn where did you learn how to become this advocate for yourself?
Right. That's the only thing you can do is be an advocate for yourself, because every single person's sickle cell is individual. Just like every single person on this earth has individual DNA. Yes. No two people is going to be alike. You can have siblings in the same exact family, and their sickle cell will be light years apart on the spectrum of the negative side effects and the negative symptoms that they receive from it.
Right. And so how did you learn to become this advocate for yourself in the hospital? Like,
I didn't have a choice. Basically, it boiled down to the fact that I didn't have a choice, and no matter how many doctors my mom took me to, it all yielded in the same result of them not quite understanding or knowing enough about sickle cell or any other hemoglobinopathy, for that matter, to even give me a conclusive answer or a conclusive plan as to how to treat myself.
Right. Okay, so let's go. You got your elementary school. We got that part knocked out. You go into junior high school. What is life living with sickle cell in junior high?
Well, junior high years, they suck. Like, absolutely suck.
What do you mean by suck?
Puberty, and I got my period, and it totally jacked my body up. Like,
okay, so
anytime I would have my cycle, it would trigger a crisis, and then for whatever 3 to 7 days that it would last another 4 days, a pain crisis after it.
Wow.
I absolutely hated junior high.
Now, I saw a post, on social media, I saw a Facebook post of a young woman asking about having a period in sickle cell crisis. So you can attest from your point of view, your life experience, that reaching puberty.
Oh no, I'm on Depo-Provera every 3 months, gladly, faithfully for the past 11 years, because I refuse to have a period and make myself have additional crises on top of what I'm already dealing with day to day.
Wow, definitely. That's and how that's part of being a woman, is having those cycles. So you have to take medication.
No, the doctor has assured me that it's actually not bad, and you get your taps and all your other feminine stuff done every once a year, and they'll check and see if you need a DNC to clean out like excess tissue. But generally, because of the I believe it's the progesterone, there's no buildup or no negative effect. For me, the effects are better. I don't have a period, so I know, guarantee, I'm not down for 10 days out the month. That's a guarantee. So I want my 10 days.
So how did
when you have sickle cell and you don't get many days where you're going to be at least semi-good, I want my 10 days.
So how did you deal with that as a young woman initially, before you got to the point where you are as an adult? What, you having this cycle, you having these complications?
Nothing. I just had to deal with being in crisis.
Yeah.
And of course, being in school age, that a crisis meant being out of school. So it was about like 8th grade when I started missing significant chunks of school because of my sickle cell.
Yeah. And how did your mom intervene with that schoolwork, being missing school and your homework and things like that? Did you have support?
For the most part, we had plenty of support because we live in a small town. Majority of my family's here. But what can you do when, even if you go to the the school and get your child's work. They can't do their work because they're out of it because of sickle cell.
Right.
What it always made me feel the worst is looking at my mom and my siblings when I'm sick and seeing the look of sheer horror and terror because there's nothing they can do for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
So you could see that. You could see that in your family how sickle cell was affecting them.
Anybody with sickle cell, I'm pretty sure if you ask anyone with sickle cell, they'll tell you that's one of the things that gets them most is when they do get in their worst state is knowing that their family can't do nothing about it, knowing that the people that love them, that will give their right arm if you ask them to help them, and there's nothing they can do about it.
How was your relationship with your siblings? You know, living with sickle cell yourself.
When I was younger, they didn't understand it that much. They used to call me annoying. Because like I don't care what nobody says. When I get sick, I want my sister. You darn right. I'm a big baby. I want my sister. I don't want my brothers. I want my sister. I don't want my mom.
Yeah.
Just give me my sister. And I will always pester her when I would get sick because that's what I want. I want my sister to make me feel better.
So she didn't realize that she was actually helping you in your crisis at the time, did she?
Right, but she, even though she complained about it when we were children, she still would sit there and she would rub my body down with alcohol and she would sit and talk to me. She would do my hair.
Yeah.
So no matter what, like, even though they didn't understand it, they always were there.
Yeah. And how about today, as now that they're adults, and you guys are adults now, do they look back and say, you know what? You know, I have more compassion for you now?
They have completely different view of it now since that I've been an adult because each of my siblings have seen me get sick at a different time,
right.
And it's all been separately, and they completely understand how you can go from being perfectly fine, happy, upbeat, healthy, and to the next minute you're on the floor in fetal position because you have a crisis.
Right. So they're definitely aware.
So, and like my eldest brother, Dobie, he always, anytime I was in Jacksonville and I was in the hospital, he came to the hospital every day.
Wow. Like
clockwork. My other brothers, they call every day. So I have I thank God for that, but I have a huge support system when it comes to, you know, having family and friends and loved ones around me that are going to be there for me when I do get sick because I do have a child. They all pitch in to help my son, my son's side of the family. They jump in, no problem. So
okay.
I think everybody can understand it a little bit more.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so junior high school, you got your cycle is really taking its toll on you. How did you deal with sickle cell as a young child? If you look back, how did it affect you on your mental state?
Mentally, I had been dealing with depression and anxiety on and off since I was like 12.
Yeah.
So, and it only would be triggered when I would have my worst crisis. So I knew mentally I was unstable at some point.
Yeah.
And I will be the first one to tell you I will run to therapy like it's nobody's business. I love therapy. I'm an advocate for therapy. Everybody should go to therapy. It helps, especially when you have a disease like sickle cell, because if you compare it to any other disease, if you compare it to cancer, if you compare it to MS, if you compare it to lupus, ALS, chronic heart failure, HIV/AIDS, any of those things, it's always a brief moment in which they are sick. Either you get sick and they find a way to cure you or to help you, or you die.
Yeah.
That's simple. With sickle cell, is you're born, you get sick, and you start to feel better, but you never actually get better, and then you get sick, and then you get sick, and you live, and you suffer, and you live, and you suffer, and you pray, and then you live and you suffer, and you just hope that somebody somewhere in someone's lab will create just one medication, just one treatment for you so that you too can have the hope of someone with all the other diseases,
right,
of either getting better or just letting it go.
Right.
I choose getting better. I'm too stubborn to let it go.
So how did you fight through that depression? What was your outlet? What did you reach for? What did you said that you went to counseling?
Writing. I love to write.
Okay.
And also, like I said, therapy and having someone to talk to and vent about it. And generally, it would take some help of some antidepressants sometimes, but no shame in my game. I needed them. I took them. I felt better. Because it's one thing to already have your body broken. You don't need your mind broken as well.
Yeah. And you know, it's important. You know, I've been depressed 2.5 years. I know what that feels like. It's important to be able to have that outlet, that person or someone you can talk to. Like you say, you need to vent. Somebody that you know that's not going to pass judgment on you, or somebody that you know that your information is confidential. You know, sometimes you can't tell that you can't tell that friend that secret or that information because, you know, we're human beings, you know. And sometimes people tell you, they'll go back and I won't tell nobody, and then you hear your stuff in the streets.
And then they go back and they tell everybody.
And so and there's a lot of stigmas connected to, especially our African American and Hispanic community, about going to see mental health providers because we don't want to be seen crazy.
Everybody
or things like
I know,
that.
it doesn't matter what it is, what situation in your life. You don't have to be sick. You can have an issue raising your children. You can have an issue with your spouse, or you could just need somebody to talk to about an experience you went through as a child.
Exactly.
It's the best thing in the world. And it's the most freeing feeling in the world to have somebody to go and you can just lay it all out on the table, no judgment, no bias, just unfocused attention on getting you better.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because that's again, that's important to have your mindset, you know, stable, because like you said, the chronic pain is going to be there. So let's go to your high school. Let's stay in junior high school. Dating, you know, how did you you know, start liking boys, and then did you share that, you know, with the guys about? Well,
see, that's the thing. Like I said, I'm from a small town. Everybody knows.
So they already knew.
There's several other people that have sickle cell in my town. We only have 7,000 people in the whole town.
So everybody knew.
And yeah, everybody knows. All my black friends knew. All my white friends knew. And so it wasn't anything different, because for the most part at the time I thought I had regular sickle cell, you know, where I would get sick and then I would get better eventually. So that's how I live my life. Like, hey, okay, I might be down and out. I'll let a dude know, hey, you know, we might plan a date for such and such date. If I get sick, I will cancel, but I'll take a rain check.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So when did you discover that this thalassemia part of this gene was affecting you?
Doctors didn't first start looking into it until 2009, but it wasn't actually confirmed until 2011. Yeah, so I went a long time without knowing.
And so when you found out that you had sickle cell and thalassemia, I first found out that I had the hereditary persistence of fetal hemoglobin. Okay.
I found that out when I got to high school when I was 15.
Okay. Oh, so you knew about that at 15, that you had the fetal hemoglobin was being produced at a high level at 15.
Yes.
Okay.
At the time, it was only 22%. I had gotten really sick and had to get my gallbladder removed.
Okay.
And the doctors at Nemours Children's Hospital, they were, you know, testing my blood, and they were like, hey, we found something weird in her blood. And, you know, me and my mom go to the appointment, and they're like, yeah, she has baby blood, and we don't know why. So for a year, I continued to go to this facility, and they're continuing to test my blood, but to no avail. They still couldn't figure out how in the world I had baby blood, especially 22%, being that I never had taken hydroxyurea.
Right. Which is a blessing, like you say, because you're producing.
I'm blessed. Not lucky, blessed.
Yes. So the thalassemia, when you found out you had thalassemia, the thalassemia trait, what did your parents, like, what did they say? Like, where did that come from? Like, what was the conversation?
Okay, when I found out, the first thing I did, I called my mom, and I was like, Ma, is my daddy my daddy? And she was like, what? I was like, you heard me. Is my daddy my daddy? I'm like, this woman just told me that, for one, I'm not black. Two, I have some European Mediterranean stuff going on in my blood. So I'm going to ask you again, is my daddy my daddy?
Wow.
She just died laughing. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
So it's important for, you know, when you say that, I'm thinking to myself, you know, we have to have people aware of your bloodline. You know, there are so many different hemoglobinopathies: sickle cell trait, thalassemia, C trait, D trait, Monroe, OARAB. There's so many different hemoglobinopathies.
Oh, there's so many. That is countless.
It's countless. So your bloodline, we're talking about making sure you be tested for sickle cell trait, but also the other genes, because your partner could have another red blood cell condition that you may not be educated about or aware about, and you don't ask that question. So
the thing is, most people don't even know their hemoglobin status because they're under the assumption that, like myself, hey, I'm black.
Right.
If you would have asked me in 2010, what race are you? I'm a black American. That's it.
So
now today I know different, because once I did find out, unfortunately my dad had passed away in 2012.
Okay.
But his side of the family, you know, I got in touch with them and I learned, you know, about my aunt having a rare form of sickle cell and their bloodline. They have an Egyptian background and Scottish and Irish, and
that's that thalassemia.
My mom's side is Caribbean and Native American and black and white. So you have to know, it might not seem like it matters that your great-great-great-grandma was an Egyptian, but it matters.
It does. It does.
It really does. And a lot of people like to say black people quick to claim, oh, I got Indian in my blood, or I got such and such in my blood. Yeah, guess what? You do. Claim it. You need to claim it. You need to be aware so that for future generations, you're not cursing your children to live with something like sickle cell or worse.
Exactly. So it's important, you know, again, this platform is to bring awareness to sickle cell trait for sure, but there are also other red blood cell conditions. You got to be aware. Ask your mate not only about sickle cell trait, but ask them, do they know anything about thalassemia, all the other ones. So that's one of the things we want to make sure that we share on this show, is to know what your bloodline is. So Tamica, don't go nowhere. I'm gonna take a quick break real quick, and then we're gonna wrap up the show. We got about 20 minutes left, but this is WDC Radio. Put your phone on mute for me. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. I got Tamica on the line. We're gonna be talking about what she's living with sickle cell, or how it is living with sickle cell today, coming up on the next half of the show. And we'll be right back. This is WDC Radio.
Arguing over the same woman. Heard a shot, then the crowd running. And now the police is coming. So it's 3 o'clock, I ain't sleep. Then it's 4 o'clock, I ain't sleep. Let me grab something to eat. Matter of fact, I need me a freak. So I can flip it over, then kiss her shoulders from her head down to her feet. At 4 o'clock, I dial her up. Better check your caller ID. Cause if you answer this, I'm for certain. Hell yeah, I called you on purpose. And I'm trying to get you wet. Get it so wet, I think that I'm surfing. Yeah, I love the way that them thighs sit. And them fine hips are so perfect. Prime here, let me work it. My sex game is unearthly. When I call you up on my phone, I'm thinking between your legs. I think I found my home between your legs. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking between your legs. Girl, just answer your phone. Can I get you back to my home? And this is when I call you up on my phone, I'm thinking between your legs. I think I found my home between your legs. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking between your legs. Girl, just answer your phone. Can I get you back to my home? And this song.
Moving at high stakes, man, I tell them to catch up. Straight to the top, man, I tell them to step up. Still holding court, I don't care who got next up. Should've never gave us money, man, you know they don't.
This program is provided with funding from Mass Therapeutics, sponsors of the EPIC study, a clinical trial for sickle cell disease. For more information, please visit www.theepicstudy.com.
I'm an alien, come and find me. I drop from the mothership, it's really skydiving. Land on the planet, I'm looking for my rival. And that's you if you a hater and conniving. I can't stand you, it's time to get to zapping. One eye open with the ray gun clapping. If I'ma make a movie, I'm action packing. If I'ma make some money, then I'm stacking and stacking. Apply a little pressure, no time for relaxing. Booty in my eyes and it's time for some moving at high stakes, man, I tell them to catch up. Straight to the top, man, I tell them to step up. Still holding court, I don't care who got next up. Should've never gave us money, man, you know they done messed up. Apply the pressure, apply the pressure, apply the pressure.
All right, welcome back. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. Again, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamWDC. For more information about sickle cell trait, you can go to WDCONSCT.org for more information. Also, to check out the IB for Life campaign that we just launched, you can go there to WDCSCT.org and find your voice in our campaign. As you can see, the beads are the black bead represents if you have been educated through our campaign, then you represent the black bead. If you living with sickle cell disease or thalassemia or anemia, you are represented by the green bead. If you have lost a loved one, a family member, a friend to sickle cell in this battle of sickle cell, we call it our fallen soldiers, then they represent the yellow bead. And if you're like me, who carry the sickle cell trait, or if you carry thalassemia trait, C trait, D trait, any of those traits, then you are represented by the red bead. And this campaign is from Canada, Ontario, Canada, to Ontario, California. So it is a international, national campaign to bring awareness to sickle cell. Shouts out to my man Andre, who in Canada, who actually created this campaign, and he shared it with me as his partner to help bring awareness. And so if you go to that website, they're $5 plus shipping and handling. Part of the proceeds we split in half. Will go to his half is dedicated to the burials. He wants to support family members who don't have enough money to bury their loved one. So we're going to verify that death, and then we will provide funds accordingly to that family. Wow, thank you. And also, my half, it will be for my sickle cell testing. I will be doing sickle cell trait screening in the community. So half will go to burial funding, and the other half will go to sickle cell trait screening. So that's the IB for Life campaign. You can go there, hashtag IB for Life or hashtag IB4L. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter with those hashtags. So let me see, is Tamica still there? Tamica, yes. Are you back? You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
How are you?
Okay. So thank you for again for being so open this first half of the show and sharing your story living with sickle cell. Let's get, what do you want to share as far as living with sickle cell? What do you want people to know about yourself and how you've been taking care of yourself in a positive aspect? We don't want to just focus on the negative context of sickle cell. There's so much positive in there. So give me some positive.
First and foremost, I pray a lot. My relationship with God is, I think, the thing that has gotten me through most things. I'm not a big religious freak. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not a fan of church and stuff, but my relationship with God and me reading the Bible, even the Quran and parts of the Torah, has gotten me through a lot of tough times. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, those that God loved the most, He made suffer while here on earth. So I know it's for a reason, and I'm just thankful that I'm the only one out of my 5 siblings that don't have it.
Wow.
So none of my siblings have it. It's just me and my family and my friends. That's having a great support system to get you through anything.
Yeah. And what can you share?
And I have the best doctor ever.
What can you share with some of our community members who don't have that support system? Like, what can you share with them to establish that or reestablish? Because I can tell you that, you know, some people think that they're a burden on their family members versus as a support system.
I felt that too. Trust me, anybody that has any type of chronic illness, this goes past just sickle cell, any type of chronic illness, at some point will feel like they're a burden to those around them.
So you felt,
but at the end of the day, your family loves you unconditionally.
So you felt, even though you had the support system, you still felt sometimes that you were a burden? Tell me about that.
How can you not? When you're an adult and you have to get someone else to bathe you, or you have to get someone else to come in and take care of your child for you, you feel like a burden. You feel like less than.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if you this big burly 300-pound man or dainty 120-pound woman. It doesn't matter if you're black, Latino, Middle Eastern. At the end of the day, when you cannot provide the basic necessities for yourself, when you have to depend on others to brush your teeth, when you have to depend on medication just to even be able to get out of bed in the morning, you will feel like you're a burden at times.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're a burden to yourself.
Right.
Like your body is a burden to your soul.
Wow. Thank you.
So the only way to get past that is, like I said, faith.
Yeah.
Point blank period. That's the only way I was able to get through that was faith. And then I started reaching out to, you know, groups on Facebook and Instagram, like I Testify, Sickle Cell Story, Sickle Cell Hospital Chatter. All these groups helped me a lot. That's because good. At one point I was feeling like there's no way in the world I'm the only person that's getting this crappy treatment dealing with sickle cell. Right. Like, I couldn't be the only one. I thought I was crazy. Yeah. And then I go online, and it's like Mecca. I've come home to all my brothers and sisters because everybody are reliving the same exact experience.
Right? It's
everybody's
like,
going
real.
through the same exact thing.
It is. It's real. It is. There is a reality. Again, there is a reality to living with sickle cell. And when you discover that there are more people who can relate to you, maybe, you know, we sometimes we want people to understand us, but sometimes people just don't understand. It's not a bad thing, but if you can relate to that person.
But you know the thing about it is the classification of sickle cell limits so much.
Yeah.
There can be so much more being done if everybody just stop and take a step back and look at it. Yeah. Sickle cell, thalassemia, G6PD.
Oh, what you know about G6PD? That's my other one. What you know about G6PD?
All these diseases are just like sickle cell. All of these diseases have shortened lifespan. All of these diseases are only being treated with blood transfusions and pain medications and antibiotics. No one has tried to get to the root of the problem. Everybody's so busy classifying, oh, well, you have Singapore LH hemoglobin, or you have Saudi Arabia Arab hemoglobin, instead of looking at the big picture of it's a hemoglobin mutation. Yes. It manifests the same physically, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of age.
It's 1 in 4 chance.
They need to do something about that, and then you can have a more productive view of sickle cell. A more productive view of getting real help.
And I think it's up to us in our community to generate these conversations. You know, I look at, I was sharing with somebody earlier today, you know, that information is all recycled. I mean, there's nothing really new. There's nothing really new about sickle cell. Even the studies they did in 2014, all of the studies that they did, their resources for the studies were dated 1968 or prior. Exactly.
Like, how can you still be using books that are outdated when you have proof before you that everybody, if you have blood and your body requires blood to live and to function, you can have sickle cell, you can have thalassemia, you can have some form of hemoglobin mutation that causes you a tremendous amount of agony.
Yes. You know, I want to touch on a little bit before I let you go here is you said you had your child. Now we know that's a whole nother conversation about our community and having children. Yeah. What was, give me a little bit of what that was like for you.
Okay, firstly, when I got pregnant, trust me, it was a shock to me. because doctors had been telling me since I was 5 that I couldn't reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got pregnant, I had my primary doctor, and then I had a group of 5 OBGYNs,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a group of 6 midwives.
Wow.
Every single one of them tried to get me to get an abortion.
Wow.
And I flat out was like refused. I'm like, nope. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
What was that conversation
die,
like?
God would take him.
What was that
If
conversation
not,
like, Tamica? I mean, that's a difficult conversation to have.
Talking about pissed off, and when I tell you I cussed them 2 shades to Tuesday, they knew that day never to mention that word to me again.
And what was their recommendation? Why? Because of your health or the baby's health? What was the conversation?
Because my sickle cell was so severe,
Mm-hmm.
and because that my body wasn't physically built to carry a child, like my pelvic area is smaller than it should be.
Okay.
So I would never be able to like push a child through my birth canal.
Right.
And that's basically what it boils down to, sickle cell, and that they didn't know what to do. And they didn't know why mine was, at the time, still so different.
Wow. So
because I still had at the time, it was like 26% fetal hemoglobin.
So the recommendation was to abort.
Abort, right. And I asked them, I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that you want me to put even more stress on my body by aborting a child than just letting nature play out and have its course. I'm like, if I get an abortion, that could send me to crisis that can cause me to die.
Yeah.
If I have a miscarriage, that could send me to crisis that can cause me to die. If I go through full term and go through labor, I can go to crisis and die. I told them, like, your options suck.
So were you mentally prepared for whatever outcome was going to happen with you and your child?
Yes, I was mentally prepared for whatever. I'm like this. To have a child is the greatest gift in the world. That to be able to leave a part of yourself on this world after you leave, that should be your greatest accomplishment. Not money, not fame, not fortune, not knowledge, nothing, but you leaving a part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no way in the world I was going to do what they said. I was taking my chances, and I had already discussed with my mom and with my son's dad, look, it save my baby first and then work on me.
Okay.
If anything were to happen, save my kid and then work on me.
Okay. So you already had that talk with the family, and it was a done deal. You're going through the process, and that's it.
If you don't have that talk, you leave your family unprepared. It's bad enough to already deal with sickle cell as it is.
Right.
So you have to talk about essentially the inevitable.
The hard conversation.
Eventually, everybody on earth is going to die.
Yeah, we all have that in common.
So if you don't talk about it, you can't prepare them and help them accept it.
And so what was the outcome?
Oh, I had a great pregnancy. I had the most amazing pregnancy ever. I didn't get sick not once.
What?
I got fat, like huge. Like only my belly stretched. No other part of my body changed at all. And I had a healthy 6-pound, 8-ounce boy by C-section.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not have sickle cell, but he does have sickle alpha thalassemia trait.
Wow.
Because I gave him so much jacked up blood. His dad doesn't have any hemoglobinopathies at all. He's healthy. He's happy. And he's 11. He'll be 12 in October.
And so
doctors are wrong.
What did the doctors say when you had your baby? Did they come back and apologize, or was it just like, whatever?
No, they came back and tried to force me to get my tubes tied. So I told them to go to hell. And that if I were to have another child, it'd be God's will, not mine, not theirs.
Wow.
So it is what it is.
Okay. Very important, because that's a huge topic in our community, especially for the women, about having babies and having the doctors, give their advice, their opinion. I don't know what you want to call it, except for that.
I will say this, since I have found out that I have thalassemia and that I am the cause of my child still having sickle thalassemia trait,
mm-hmm.
I don't think it'd be a bright idea for me to have more children. I thought I was safe by, having a kid with a white guy. My kid, half white. Back in the day, they tell you white people don't get sickle cell. Yeah.
Okay.
So nobody's safe. Don't think just because if you date outside of your race or you marry somebody outside of your race and you have children outside of your race. Like, what's the song say? Anybody can get it? That's pretty much should be a sickle cell theme song.
Hey.
Anybody can get it.
Again, because they could have another inherited gene, not just sickle cell.
Exactly. They can have a different hemoglobin mutation. Exactly. And this is making it worse than sickle cell, because if you're like myself and you have thalassemia, your blood cells are already smaller than normal, and they're already misshapen. Yep. So you add sickle cell to the mix.
Now it mutates.
That's off a whole nother cannonball.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. We got a few minutes left. I want to thank you so far for being open and sharing your story, living with sickle cell.
You're so welcome.
And this rare, I don't know if it's rare. I don't want to say rare condition, but for me, this is, I believe you're the first person that actually...
it's rare to inherit the full versions of both.
Yeah.
There are many people that have sickle beta thalassemia, sickle delta thalassemia, but nobody has sickle cell and delta beta thalassemia.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And so... To wrap up the show, what do you want the world to know about? Because now you can speak to sickle cell, you can speak to the thalassemia community. Like you help bridge the gap to a lot of these different genes. So, in the short verse, what do you want the world to know about sickle cell trait, and then what do you want the world to know about the thalassemia trait? So, what do you want the world to know about sickle cell?
Well, actually, I can put both of them together.
You put them together? Okay.
You need to know your status. You need to know what hemoglobinopathy your bloodline carries. I know everybody think they know their heritage because of some story that grandma or grandpa passed down. But you have to have DNA verification. Have the doctor do beta globin analysis test to check and see exactly where the mutation is. That way you can prevent your children, yourself, and future generations from having to suffer from it. Right. Everybody on the face of this earth, everyone gets some form of hemoglobin mutation, whether it's G6PD, AIHA, sickle cell, thalassemia, and a list of 1,600 plus more.
Easy.
You have to know your status and get tested and be proactive in your health care. You must pursue at all costs the right to healthiness. Yes. Other people are pursuing their right to happiness. I just want my right to healthiness.
Hey, again, thank you. That's again, at the end of the day, that's why I'm here to do this show, for people to become aware of what genes they carry. My campaign, one of my campaigns is What's in Your Genes. The other campaign is Stop Sickle Sex. I get a lot of feedback from having conversations about Stop Sickle Sex, but it's really just awareness, education, and prevention, and a phrase to catch your attention to talk about sickle cell, which is Stop Sickle Sex. And so, Tamica, thank you for calling in from Flo Rida and sharing your story.
Welcome.
And again, a pleasure meeting you. And I hope to see you on the social media and advocating for sickle cell trait and thalassemia. We got a lot of work to do. This is just a piece of the pie, of the puzzle. So thank you for your time.
You're welcome so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right. So again, thank you for listening. This is WDC Radio. I'm your host. I'm WDC. I'll be back next Saturday. It's 4th of July. Hey, but sickle cell don't stop, so I won't stop either. So I'll be back here next Saturday, probably with some barbecue or something, right here on LA Talk Live, WDC Radio. Got a good show for you next Saturday already set up. We'll be here, LA Talk Live, with more than just talk. WDC Radio. Shout us out. What's the count?
We gotta die. I only speak the truth, you here to be fulfill my lies. The shell will take white chalk on black crime. We at the bottom, so we broke, so they put us down. Another black man killed, so you know they proud. They say, Hank, you never smile, so I told them how. You'll take a walk in my shoes, you couldn't fill it out. So now you see what a real nigga talk about. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. You gotta cross your heart when you see the herbs pass by. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. My block is full of gang bangers. bangers and drive-bys. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. Gotta cross your heart when you see the hearse pass by. I'm back at it, man, second verse on this topic. Since I got you focused now, watch how I rock. They say I rap hard, something in me can't stop. My eyes seen a lot, so my flame's hot. You can come and try to wet me, but can't put me out. I stand alone with my shadow raised by the block. I had to hustle hard, slang dope, or get a job. I chose a path of good and evil in my lifetime. I had it hard with this rapper scene to get it right. I took a step forward first.
Of the EPIC study, a clinical trial. This program is provided with funding from Mass Therapeutics, sponsors of the EPIC study, a clinical trial for sickle cell disease. For more information, please visit www.theepicstudy.com.
My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. My block is full of gang bangers and drive-bys. Gotta cross your heart when you see the hearse pass by.